Hello guys, welcome back to the school lab. Today in this video, I'm gonna show you how to create a login API in Spring Boot 3.3 with Spring Security 6.0. So for this, we would generate our project by using this application, Spring Initialization Web. So if you are not aware of this thing, then go to the Google and just search Spring Initializer and you can create your project from here by giving some details of your project. So I have already given the details like group ID, artifact ID, name project and some description, and we would use in this project Java 21. So first we need some dependencies to work with REST API. So we would add some dependencies by clicking on add dependency button. So we would first add PAB API to work with REST API, and we would add security to work with security. Also we would use in this project S2 database to work with data. So also add an S2 database. We would use JPA to store our data, and we would use Lambok to generate getter and setter, and we would also use SpringTap to run our application continuously. Lambok data, S2 data, security, PAB, JPA, all the things we have, all the dependencies we have added here. So if you wanna to see the project, then you can click on the explore, then you would have all the things. You can see here we are using Java version 21 and all the dependencies like JPA, security, PAB, tab tool, all the things. So close this and click on generate. It will automatically generate the project. Then go to your local file. It will initially download it local. So extract it. I'm gonna use Eclipse. Click, click on import and import Maven existing project. Click on browser, go to download, click on login project, click on select, click on finish. Now it will take some time to download the dependencies. Now we are good to go with this. All dependencies are downloaded. Now we would create some packages to store or to put our classes inside it. So this is the main package. So we would create a sub package inside this package. First, uh, transfer object, we have the security, we have controller, we have DTO, we have model, we have repository, we have. I think all the things we have created all the packages. Now resources, go to application property file to define some property of our application. So this we are setting here for URL setup, and this is for our username of the database, S2 database. So S2 database by default comes with the SA username with blank with password. So this property we are defining uh, to know the Spring which driver we are using. We are using S2 driver, and this property we are using to tell Hibernate whenever we update something in the entity, then it should also reflect it in the S2 database. So these two properties we are using to show the console and enabling the path. And we will initializing the data through data.sql file. Then these two properties most important. to initialize the data. Now it's time to create a class. So we are going to create a class for our security to handle our Spring Security. Now we would create class as a configuration and enable web security, enable method security, from enable otherwise don't require. Then we will create a bean to inject automatically by Spring Security filter. We would use a security filter chain. Takes parameter HTTP security. http.csrf. We would disable the CSRF. Disable for security reason. Dot HTTP request. We would use here auth dot request matcher to match the coming request like S2 data. We will enable it and we will to permit all it, and other for other requests for any request authenticated. For any request should be authenticated. For these we are giving as public, do not need to authenticate it. We will set header for allow the S2 database dot frame option. Use a frame to see the S2 console dot shame origin dot build. We'll also create bean. We are using security. So in security, the authentication manager, a class which used to authenticate internally. So create authentication manager. Manager takes authentication configuration of class object config return config.get authentication. One pin also required for this. Password encoder and returns object bcrypt encoder. Now we are ready with this class. Now we can test our application is allowing this as to database or not from the browser. Authentication manager, it internally authenticate and takes the authentication configuration object to get the authentication manager, and it can internally also use the password encoder to encode the upcoming password from the request, and it matches to the encoded password. If it matched, then it allows you to access. So now save this entry and go to the project, click on run as, run a Java application, not using. we can search our project, login project, click on OK. See if anything is missing or not. So for now we are good to go with the application. Okay. And test our application by Google through browser, search local S2 database. Now click on connect. Yep, it is connected successfully. So we do not have any entities here. It's a default entity. So go to the back and stop running. Now create our model. Use model we are creating here. Entity annotation. This annotation is used to make your class as entity. JPA will make it automatically entity. Entity means your class name. So in table, it will create a class by user's name. Create some integer ID, private string, username, private string, password. So in every class, each class contains primary key. So contains primary key and there is ID. So under ID and this annotation is used to make a primary key. So we are making ID as a primary key and generated value strategy generation type we are using identity. So this property why we are using this to automatically generate the values for this ID. Now we will use Lambo getter setter to generate getter setter. Avoid the boilerplate code. No argument constructor or argument constructor required here. So we are ready with this thing. Now it's time to create our DDO class. Login DDO, I'm going to name it login DDO to transfer the data from the controller to the model. Private, take string username from body, private string password from the body. One thing we forget here, the username should be unique, so we are going to make it unique. It should be unique, start unique true. So the column annotation is used to give the column name to your property or also used to make it unique. So if you want to give the property name something else, like we are here giving usernames or GPA will automatically it will create a column name username if you do not give this column, not provide manually column name, it will automatically create the column name username. So if you want to change your column name want according to you, if you want to, then you can give here name and comma. So like user column, so it will create a column by this user column name, but I do not want to create a column name. I want to use the same column, like here I'm giving properties, so using this. So here generate getter setter, no argument constructor, on argument constructor. If you are not aware of Lombok library, then please comment out and I will create a video on Lombok, how to install it, how to add it Eclipse or another IDE, then also show you how to work with it. These are the Lombok annotation Directly it will generate internally getter, setter, normal constructor and all argument constructor for these properties. So we are to go with login DTO. Now it's time to create a repository. We will create interface like user user repo extends JPA repository. First parameter takes class name or your entity name which you want to create and want to use in your application. So I have an entity name users, and second parameter type of primary key is integer, and over it will also suggest and import here your model and add you one function. It will return user class object. JPA will find the user by its username. Now generate a user detail service class. Custom user details. Going to make it component. So these annotation is used to make it to automatically inject the object of this class in another class where we define it. I'll show you later. So this class we are implementing an interface user details service. It has a method called load username. Yep. So with auto create a property of user repo user repo. In user repo repository we have a find method, right? Username. So this we required here. This method. We can use this method to find users user dot find username and give a username to this method and will return a single user. And will return new user class from SpringSecurity. Yes, so user class and this class take your username and password, and under of the parameter it takes a collections of any type. So it give here collections dot as empty say empty list. Just if you want to see the how is this actual property we are giving or not, just click on the user. So here you can see here it takes granted authority collection, but we don't have any authorities like roles, so we are giving it empty. Okay, so we are good to go with here this class. Now it's time to create our service class. Create a login service. Make it enter its service class to automatically inject its object. To wire private, making a private property. Authentication manager, auth manager. Keep a method to return a string if we log in successfully. We use login and we would get data from login DDU. We have a class login DDU we have created for get data from the user. We will put all the things in try and catch block to catch any exception if we caught, and we will throw an exception. User not found, otherwise we'll return login success. So here to use this has an authenticate method which takes new username pass authentication token class object, and this get wants your username and your password to authenticate. We are giving here if we successfully log in, then we would store its object authentication. This class will implement from SpringSecurity. If we successfully logged in, we will store this object in security context folder dot get context dot set authentication. Why we are setting this thing? We are setting this thing whenever we require in our whole application the current user or the user logged in successfully or not. So after successfully we are setting in the security context folder, it will hold your users details. We can get user details in any of the class anywhere whenever we required. That's why we are setting it to get to show globally in application. Okay, we have done. I think we do not require any things here. Just copy it. Now we have done with it, done with it. Okay, now done. Create a class, controller class like login controller. Use a REST controller to make it REST. Work with REST API. Auto wire. We are auto wiring private login service. So what Spring do? Spring, whenever when Spring sees this annotation, it will automatically inject of this class object here. Otherwise, you would have required to like new keyword login service at the runtime. Then it will inject its object, and you can use here. But without new keyword, you can work if you define here AutoWire annotation. Creating a post mapping to give our API endpoints like login we are giving here public. We would use here response entity to send its response and HTTP status login. To take data from request body. By using this annotation, we can take data from request body. Take data of login detail class, and we will now return new object of response entity. Call your method. user login, http status you can give here dot ok. So we are ready here. One, now it's time to allow this also to every user. Such login endpoints, every user can access it without any authentication. Slash login slash anything is having should allow here, then it should allow it. Just one thing we have to set here, we would require we would create a find data SQL to put the data.sql file to put data in our entities. Now we'll open a with text editor and we'll insert users, the username we have in and password values. We'll give like user password also. But one thing we have to keep in mind here, while giving the password, it would require a fully encoded password. Without it, it will not authenticate it because authentication manager in our service class. So this authentication manager, when it authenticates it, so it takes a user and password class objects. It takes user and password. So this user and password it would require. So what it does, internally use a password authentication, sorry, password encoder class, and it encoded your password when you give password or username or password to your API, and to your API. And if you do not have the encoded password in your stored like in S2 database or SQL, then it would throw an error. So so for resolving this issue, we would have required to we would use this tool. Just go to the Google and search password encoder encryption data. Just give user, click on encrypt and give the encoded password to work perfectly. In Eclipse, go to the SQL file, put password here, and now we give the username user and password also user. Now it's time to run our project. Click on run. Now let's see. Now it seems no, we got some error. Insert user password user statement expected. Okay, we missed here into save it, run it. So everything seems to be okay. Now go to S2 database and refresh it. Continue. Now it is refreshing. Click on connect. Now we are connected. Click on user. Click on run. Now we have user and its password. Now go to the postman. Create a request. Go to row. Select JSON. Go to your username and password. Click send. Now for the response login success status code we have set it here to 100. So thanks for the watching this video. Please do subscribe to our channel School App and hit the like button.